Recently, I have found myself fixated on the concept of imprint. An imprint reveals what is left behind after everything extrinsic is taken away. A leaf falls to the ground and becomes planted in clay sediment. The leaf decays and its material manifestation no longer exists, and yet an impression of where the leaf once was remains. A clear image is left, leading me to wonder, was the essence of the leaf in the cells and greenery and carbon that is now gone, or is the essence captured just as well in the distinct absence of what is no longer there? An imprint reveals parallels, similarities, and gives clarity to an object that otherwise may be a mystery. For an example based in personhood, for a short time this year, I was in hospital, removing myself from my environment and leaving in place only the absence of where I once was, my imprint. Only upon my removal were those close to me able to interpret and understand what led to my hospitalization. Oftentimes, an imprint will reveal a striking similarity to an object that is familiar to us. You can bend and morph and twist around the familiar object until suddenly it pops perfectly into place, filling the exact same space as the impression of what has been taken away to create the imprint. To once again relate this to my time in hospital, it was only when examining the imprint of my absence that my mother was able to place something familiar and feel a fit. It was in my absence that she realized that the imprint of me, her daughter, was strikingly similar to the impression left by her brother. My mother's life to me is mostly a mystery, and it was only after she noticed this parallel that she revealed that she had once had a brother, one who had died in circumstances very similar to the ones that had placed me in hospital. Imprints help us to understand and interpret things that are otherwise too difficult to comprehend. An imprint effectively abstracts an object by removing all unnecessary visual information, and then allows the viewer to project their own experiences, compare their own familiar objects, and then draw conclusions that otherwise would not have been reached. It's difficult, maybe impossible, to see a person for exactly what they are. However, in their absence, we can see quite clearly the space which they took up. We can see indentations in the earth where people once walked, carved initials into the trunks of trees, the dent in a leather chair seat. All reveal material evidence of a life lived within a given space. These impressions left by people who are not present, sometimes long gone, are in many ways more telling than if they themselves were to recount their life stories. Although seemingly impersonal, you would have no way of knowing their names, ages, gender. The impression left by them is in many ways even more intimate. Scratches on hardwood floors where their chairs scraped to get up from the dinner table, worn down stone from people falling into identical step down the stairs, sun bleaching from where the light hit the carpet from an open window. These imprints reveal rituals, a more holistic and complete grasp on a person and their life, a perspective that even they may not be aware of or be able to describe. An imprint exposes the restrictions and limitations of a life lived, while equally revealing the expansive impact of one object, one person. Working with the theme of imprints, I began to use paint as a sculpting medium. I would draw an initial thing, something tangible, and then sculpt it away using thick layers of paint, layering on my different understandings, adding and removing elements of the narrative I was trying to communicate in order to understand how both presence and removal could provide insight into my experiences. The first time I felt myself working with imprints was last March. I climbed through the window of a local abandoned building, and although the inhabitants were long gone, I found a stocked fridge. I think I'm out of order. I found a stocked fridge, rooms with full drawers, and something too intimate to photograph, the only room not in a state of disarray and filth, what appeared to be a nursery. Emptied out with nothing but a crib and a few toys, the dent in the blankets was still visible from where the baby may have laid, despite the building being unoccupied for at least the last decade. Following this, I created a rapid-fire series of paintings exploring places whose inhabitants had been removed, followed by pieces inspired by etchings found on the subway, people scratching names, tags, symbols, or slogans as a form of graffiti, the intentional removal of material, addition through subtraction. Eventually, I moved on to narratives about my life that I tell myself or that I have been told. My latest pieces remove elements of each story that I believe to be certain or true, in order to see the narrative only through my uncertainty, leading me to new understandings and revelation. Someday soon, I'll tell the narratives and stories that drive my work. But today, instead, I've chosen to tell you about the space I fill and the clarity I find only in absence. Thank you for your time.